Hi everyone. Today I wanted to do a brief video to explain scrapbook paper, especially for beginners. It can be really overwhelming when you just get started with scrapbooking and you go to the scrapbook store and there's rows and rows of scrapbook paper. There's some that are bundled together in a value pack, and then there's others that are rows that seem to be the same colors, but one brand may be 59 cents a sheet and the other one is like 20 cents a sheet. So how do you decide what scrapbook paper to use? Well, this year I'm also on the CrafTangles design team, and I wanted to show you a comparison of their new cardstock that they released this year in comparison to the brands that we already have in the States so that you can make your decision. Now, the first major difference, I wrote a chart on this piece of paper. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, so the first big difference is what's called GSM. That is grams per square meter. So when you have a square sheet of paper, a square meter, and you weigh it, then that's how many grams that sheet of paper weighs. Now with scrapbook paper, that usually means the higher the number, then the thicker the paper. That's not true for all paper, but for scrapbook paper, since they're generally made out of the same materials, it's usually going to be that it'll be thicker. So the thickest one that we have in the States is the Basil cardstock. It weighs in at 270 grams per square meter. It usually retails for about 59 cents a sheet. Unless it's on sale, we can usually get like 5 sheets for $1 at Michael's on a special. Now, the everyday price for the CrafTangles, their grams is just slightly smaller, only 20 points. So it's really not that noticeable of a difference between the two. Their everyday price is 149 rupees. They're based in India. So in today's conversion between the US dollar and the Indian rupee, that comes out to about $2.31 for 10 sheets of paper, or 23 cents a sheet. So you can see their everyday price in comparison to the Basil cardstock everyday price is quite a difference. The only time you're really going to beat that is if you only buy this cardstock on sale. So that's the thickness. That's how amazing this particular paper is. Now, when would you use a cardstock that is that thick? For me personally, I use it for my scrapbooks as backgrounds. Say I have a Project Life card that I'm going to be layering a lot of items on, then I want a nice, sturdy, solid background color. I'll use that. Or if I'm doing a mixed media piece, say with watercolor or with my Lindy's or Heidi Swap Color Shine, anything with lots of liquids, I would definitely use this thicker cardstock for that scrapbook page. Any mixed media 12 by 12 layout that I want to hang up on the wall, I would use this type of cardstock. That's when you want to use the really good one. Now, the other one that we're familiar with in the States is American Crafts. They came in quite a bit lower. They're at 216. Right now, they're on sale. This is Black Friday week, so it's on sale for $16.79 for 60 sheets. So that comes out to, I think that one's about 28 cents a sheet. So you can see for the much thinner one, you're going to be paying more for the American Crafts cardstock than you would for the CrafTangles. Now the difference with that I can show you here because I actually have some of these papers. So for example, this is the Denim Blue by CrafTangles. I tore it here so that you can see the color does go through the core. And you can see the thickness. It's almost like dealing with a poster board. Not quite as thick as that, but it's very heavy, very sturdy. Liquids aren't going to go through it very easily. Now this is a piece of that cardstock, And you can see it takes a little pressure to be able to tear that. On the other hand, this is the American Crafts cardstock. It's much thinner. It's still a decent weight. I still use these for Project Life backgrounds because in the pockets, they're so small that this thinner cardstock works okay as well. It's not as thin as copy paper. It still has a good thickness to it, but it's much easier to tear. There's still some pressure in order to tear it, but compared to this is a lot thinner. I would say it feels almost half the thickness of the CrafTangles or the Basil cardstock. Now, the last one on my list is the one from Michaels, Recollections. They come in at 176. So you can see it's almost a 100-point difference for the grams per square meter. These are usually sold in packs of 100 for $20, so they're 20 cents a sheet. I use it for party favors, like when I make the little gift candy boxes, I'll use the Recollections because it's so much more affordable and it's not something that I'm keeping long term. I do not recommend it as a background to use with liquids, with watercolor or with Lindy's. I'm sorry about the dog, the neighbor's dog. So I wouldn't recommend it for that purpose because it's quite a bit thinner. I do happen to have some of that with me as well. This is a sheet of Recollections paper. You see how easily it tears. It's super thin compared to Basil or CrafTangles. You can see how thick that is, whereas how thin this one is. It still works well as a cardstock, but my word of caution with Recollections is when using it with your machine, say your Cricut or your Silhouette. I use the light grip mat for my Recollections paper, but even then, it still sometimes wants to leave a residue. There's like a layer of it wants to stay on my mat and not come off. So when you put it on your mat, put it on very lightly because it is hard to peel off in one piece. That's why it's not one of my favorites to use with the Cricut or the Silhouette. So if you have one of those machines and your intention is to use one of those machines with scrapbook paper, I recommend anything from American Crafts and up. This one, I've never had a problem with it separating on my mat, especially if I use the light grip mat. I've never had a problem with that. And of course, I don't have a problem with these either. So I hope that clarified a little bit why there's such a difference between the price point of the scrapbook papers. It's based upon it's really more material. It's a heavier, thicker, better quality cardstock. All of them are good for different purposes. As far as using in your scrapbook, all of them are going to hold the same shelf life. They're not going to deteriorate on you like construction paper or paper that isn't made for scrapbooking purposes. So now I'll just quickly go through the colors that CrafTangles carries. Again, these are $2.31 for a set of 10 or 23 cents a sheet. And this is the 12 by 12 size. They also sell the A4 size on their website. So first are the neutrals. This one's called Old Lace. I took it out of the plastic so you can see the color better. Desert Sand. Beachy Brown. This one's more like a yellowish, yellow-orange color. Caramel Brown. Cinnamon Brown. Hickory Brown. Earl Grey. This is pretty true to color, so I just left it in the package. Basic Black, which is Midnight Black. Rich Red. Ruby Red. And Wine Red. These I wanted to put side by side so that you could see the color differences, because I know that's hard to see online. So again, this is rich red, ruby red, and wine red. So you can see which one is brighter and which one is darker. Rose pink versus flamingo pink. So the flamingo pink is much richer in color, whereas the rose pink is very light. Tangerine orange versus pumpkin orange. The pumpkin orange is the richer tone. Tangerine orange versus pumpkin orange. Canary yellow versus fiery yellow. Fiery yellow is a deeper, almost like there's not orange, but it's a deeper tone, and then canary yellow is bright yellow. Then we have some greens to compare. This is sap green versus emerald green versus moss green. Those are kind of self-explanatory. I think most of us recognize moss green is going to be very deep, emerald green, and sap green. So there's your 3 different greens. Then I want to compare the blues. This is sky blue. It's like a grayish blue versus the cobalt blue. And then this is the navy blue. And then we have denim blue. Let me pull that one from my other pile. Okay, this is the one I had torn earlier. Okay, so again, sky blue, cobalt blue, navy blue, denim blue. This denim blue is almost a blackish blue, whereas your denim blue, your navy blue is kind of like a royal blue, or I don't know, maybe some lighter jeans, like a jean jacket, whereas these are like your darker jeans. So those are the differences of all the blues. And then the last color is lilac. So I hope this helped you see all the colors by CrafTangles and also the quality of their paper in comparison to what we're used to already using in the States. I'll post that chart of the grams per square meter on my blog, so feel free to check that out. Subscribe to my blog at ColleenHollis.com. I'll link it below. And all these papers can be purchased at HNDMD, and again, I will link them down below. So I hope that helped clarify. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up, and make sure to subscribe to my blog. On my blog at ColleenHollis.com, if you subscribe to the newsletter, the only email you'll receive from me is when I post a new video or when I post a new explanation on my blog with photos. So go ahead and subscribe there. I'll link it below. And also check out CrafTangles website. Their items are sold at HNDMD. So I'm going to link them below as well if you're interested in purchasing their colors and their quality cardstock as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.